One of the most wonderful aspects of city builders is the freedom that it gives to players who get to enjoy them, and especially that freedom, in my opinion, comes with road building, because road building allows you to lay out the foundations of your city, how the city is going to be organized, how the city is going to look like eventually, and I think that it's sometimes an aspect of city building games that is being overlooked by city game developers. I'm thinking, for example, of SimCity, the last SimCity from 2013, where the road system was a disaster. I wish that we had a much better road system in Tropico, for example, as well. I mean, those games, especially Tropico, is really fun, but it's not really the point of the game, unfortunately. Now, if you are into road building and you really like to have, for example, a nice looking interchange or nice looking winding roads on mountains, then I've got a couple of games here that made you get covered. And actually, a selection of 3 games. Some of them are pretty old, some of them more recent, but will really satisfy you when it comes to the freedom of the tools that are put at your disposal. The first one is a pretty old game. This one came out at the end of the 2000s. This is Cities XL. Now, I used to play Cities XL for a very long time when I was younger, hundreds of hours clocked in Cities XL. And what I like about this game is maybe it's not the best game when it comes to city simulation. Obviously, originally it was trying to be the very first multiplayer city building game, but I think that it just came far ahead of its time, and it caused. I remember Monte Cristo was the developer of this game, and basically they went bankrupt because they just lost too much money developing this game that just wasn't ready. They tried to go after that for DLCs to try to make it up, but their multiplayer was too broken. People eventually left and they did not make enough money to even break even. And that's why the game was sold to Focus Home Interactive, and they've just been using it as a milking cow. They haven't developed it much, and the franchise eventually died out. But nevertheless, I still think that this game is the most photorealistic game there is right now in the city building genre. And that's why you would be using this game, for the photorealism of just how it looks. It just looks wonderful, and the roads as well. I think that back in those days, there wasn't any road system in any city building game that could match what Cities XL had to offer. Something that's very underrated and overlooked again. But I think it was the first game that allowed us to build, such detailed highways and multiple roads and curved road. Back in those days, curved roads were a big deal. I remember when they were advertising that they were having curved roads, people were like, "Oh wow, finally!" Because in the past, think of SimCity 4, for example, you had no curved roads. You could have sideway roads, but they were all basically straights and not necessarily curved. The curved roads allowed really you to follow all the nice shorelines or the different mountains that you had on your map, and it overall made a huge difference. So that's why I also think that Cities XL. We'll talk about Cities Skylines later. Cities XL made quite an impact back in those days because it defined how a city building game should look eventually for future releases. And the next one that we're going to talk obviously about is Cities Skylines. Now, Cities Skylines has been heavily modded. You can find a ton of different modes for the game on Steam. I'm not a big fan of modding games because it causes issues as soon as there are updates. You have to manage your mode, install them, reinstall them, make sure that they are properly updated. It's kind of a hassle. So I prefer my games to be vanilla, so to speak, with no extra heavy modification. And even like this, City Skylines offers a very nice and complex road system, which builds upon what Cities XL originally offered. So we are getting again the curved roads, and we have a much more, especially much more detailed highway. One of the main features when it comes to road building in Cities Skylines is how you are building your interchanges. I think that's extremely important. A nice, efficient interchange that's going to be preventing traffic jams. Because one of the big things in Cities Skylines is, managing your traffic. You easily get, 100, 200,000 people living in your city, and that is creating a lot of traffic issues, which in return is going to be having a negative impact on your city. And playing with those roads, to make the city as efficient as possible, to have the traffic flow as efficiently as possible, is one of the most satisfying gameplay experiences in Cities Skylines, and maybe in out of all of the city building genre. But the next one I'm talking about is another game that I think is a bit underrated, but I believe has an even better road system than City Skylines, and that is Transport Fever 2. Now, originally the Transport Fever franchise was mostly about trains, but you also had to build a road system. The road system was important because it allowed you to basically ship some commodities from, let's say, a factory or production facility all the way to the train station. But eventually they realized that having some kind of city building experience in the franchise would be something that players would be enjoying, and it is true that it's very enjoyable to look at the cities growing. And in Transport Fever 2, I would say that the developers over there are taking what Cities Skylines does to the next level with even better integrated options for road buildings, better bridges, better, especially checking out, are you going to have a road that's going to be in a trench, or will it be a raised road? These are things that you don't necessarily have in Cities Skylines. You can have those, but you have to manually terraform the terrain. All of that is actually automatic, integrated into the engine in Transport Fever 2, and overall I think that the result is even better. You can also do very nice looking interchanges, and I would say that the game engine also offers more flexibility when it comes to your overpasses than what City Skylines has to offer. So overall, I think that the road creations that we get to have in Transport Fever 2 are even more satisfactory than City Skylines. So there we have it, guys. 3 games. If you're like me, you're a huge road enthusiast, you like to build roads, and you like to have good-looking road system in your games. These are 3 games that I would recommend. City Skylines more for the photorealistic looking side. Cities XL if you're more interested into big cities, like have the traditional SimCity type of experience, and if you really want to go into details for how your roads are going to be looking and managed, that is more going to be Transport Fever 2. There we have it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the like or the subscribe button if you did. This is the Eradicator. I will see you guys later.
A huge shout out to everyone who's been helping me out on Patreon and via the YouTube Joint Membership program. Creating content on YouTube involves continuous circles of ups and downs, and it is when we are the lower parts of the curve that your help really motivates me to keep on going. Your contribution really does make a difference, which is why in return I try to give back by offering backers access to my private Discord channel, automatic access to exclusive giveaways, or answering your questions during the show. You can help me out with as little as $1 a month, and any help is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for watching again. This is the Eradicator. I'll see you guys later.